U-GeekTV.
Whose Avengers are these? Whose Avengers are these people? Who are these people? Please, let's get into it.
Threat out there, and you are gonna help me stop it.
Wait, us?
Yeah, you. Why, you got someplace to be?
I love that guy.
Welcome back to U-GeekTV. I am your host, Jarius, Unapologetic Geek, and I am here with another unapologetic spoiler review this time, and we're talking again about Thunderbolts. Listen, I'm telling you, this is the last chance, right? No, actually, you ran out of chances at the cold open. We're getting into everything, or really the main things that I want to talk about when it comes to this film. And the main thing I have to get to is them rebranding themselves as the new Avengers by the end of this. So the name of the film is Thunderbolts with an asterisk. People speculated about what it was. I personally thought that Thunderbolt Ross was gonna show up in the film and be the final member, like the team that you were seeing on the posters and the marketing was not the final team. Now, I hadn't heard any Hollywood news about Harrison Ford being on set or anything like that. I really was just holding out hope that that was the case. But I felt like it was going to be a change to the team as to, who actually was on the Thunderbolts roster. Now, on the poster, for whatever reason, they keep having Taskmaster on there. She dies. Like, they get her the fuck up out of there. And Sentry does become a member of the Thunderbolts. So I really wasn't all the way off. No, I was all the way off. However, my wife, who has never picked up a comic book in her life, guessed that they were going to have a different name by the end of the movie. Like, she guessed this shit months ago, right? And here we are. They're the new Avengers. That's what they tried to sell us on at the very end. And I think my reaction, they anticipated like fans reacting the way that I am, because in the post credits, like, you see where there are newspaper and magazine articles saying "not my Avengers" and criticizing the roster and all that kind of stuff. And on Twitter, that's what I've mainly seen as well. Marvel also let everybody know that the name of the film is the New Avengers. Technically, like in the marketing, it's called the New Avengers now, even though the name of the film is actually Thunderbolts. What made the Avengers so special in the first place was how everything was built up. And I know retroactively we can say that all of these villains were featured in their own movie and had their own build up and character arcs or whatever as well before they got here. But it wasn't the same as Iron Man or Tony Stark learning to be a hero, or Captain America learning to be a hero in a new age, or Thor setting aside his pride to take care of other people, or Natasha, overcoming her old demons to be a better person and be a hero, or Hawkeye helping to protect the world to also protect his family. You know what I'm saying? You don't have like Wanda, who, was raised and experimented on and was so full of hate, only to see that she was misguided in that hate and to fight for something that was a greater good, or Vision, who was created to essentially be a tool of destruction, but turn into one of the best tools of good, and ultimately met his end trying to fight for what was right and, save the entire galaxy. Honestly, you don't get those things when it comes to like the characters from Thunderbolts. And so when you slap, well, here's the thing: the only person who really kind of gets it to me is Bucky, who I said in the spoiler-free review probably should have been your new Captain America in the first place. But outside of that, it just doesn't feel earned. Now, I'm not taking this too seriously because I'm starting to think that Marvel is heading in the direction of a reboot. Uh, they're not. If the past two movies, they haven't used like the legacy Marvel opening or whatever. Like this time, with Thunderbolts, it was just a bunch of Century um, comic panels and things like that. And then, of course, with Captain America: Brave New World, they didn't have the opening on there at all. So it kind of feels like we're heading in the direction of a reboot. Then you have reports that Kevin Feige wanted to step away from like a connected universe to more standalone pictures. And then you have all the discourse really surrounding Blade and Black Panther 3 and who, it's going to be Black Panther, whether they recast T'Challa or it's his son or all that bullshit that's going on over there. It's a lot of discourse and everything. It's not really working. And then we've heard that Kevin Feige has also been really distracted and stuff like that. Nothing is really working. And at this point, it almost feels like, yeah, when Secret Wars ends, just like it ended in the comic, it should result in a full-on reboot because we still don't even have the fucking X-Men. We got the OG X-Men in Fox, but we still don't have the X-Men. So I don't believe that the new Avengers is going to stick, but I believe there's like a story that they have maybe planned for the new Avengers eventually getting us back to some of the old Avengers coming together. But I don't have a lot of faith in Marvel at this point. We've seen things, Eternals, it took them years to even address what happened in Eternals again. And that was this year with Captain America: Brave New World. Plot threads are just sitting out there. It's just sitting out there virtually unaddressed. Um, Now they did say that they got rid of all the Kangs or whatever, and that's how they wrote their way out of having Jonathan Majors come back. But I don't know, man. When I said the magic was gone, this is what I was alluding to, and it really comes down to that post-credit scene. They have this scene at the end of the film where the new Avengers have been doing this, I believe, maybe a couple of years at this point, and it looks very much different from anything else in the film because it's directed by the Russo brothers. And they're talking, and then they find out that there's this a possible or unidentified flying object entering the Earth's atmosphere, and the camera is on the shuttle, and then it turns around and it's Fantastic Four, like it's the Fantastic Four shuttle, right? Which to me spoils the end of Fantastic Four, because judging by the trailers, I already think Galactus is going to win that battle. Galactus is going to beat them, destroy their planet, and they're going to escape to another dimension or universe or whatever. So that's where I think that's going. But I just like even seeing that post-credit scene, I felt nothing really. It really wasn't any excitement. We don't know how Fantastic Four is going to play out in terms of its enjoyability or anything like that. Like I'm excited about it because I'm a long time, like again, comic book fan. Man, like the casual fan, they don't give a fuck about the Fantastic Four. They're just going to see it because of the Marvel Studios name, and even that's struggling now. Because if you look at the box office returns for Thunderbolts, it underwhelmed. It underwhelmed, man. So I feel like at this point, everybody just wants to get to the end of the shared universe, which honestly probably should have ended with Endgame, and then you do the standalone movies. But I understand money talks, bullshit runs a marathon. So they had to keep that going on. I get it. But retroactively speaking, yeah, they probably should have ended it with Endgame, just went to standalone movies. Because it's going to be hard to try and get something to top the Infinity Saga anyway. You were always facing an uphill battle, but you kept running that race. And here we are now. All these TV shows that are frivolous and honestly don't matter, even though you want to tell us they matter, they really don't. It was just too much too fast. Disney, and then Disney Plus came out, and they just decided to just throw a whole bunch of shit again that nobody cared about on there. And it was, or it used to be, required viewing, even though you could go in kind of blank for the most part. But now, man, you don't even want to watch shit. And you go out there and you call this team the new Avengers, and then you come up with a new marketing campaign promoting them as the new Avengers. If anything, like I can understand that working for some people wanting to go see it, but now that it's spoiled, they damn sure don't want to see this team as the new Avengers. They didn't want to go see the team when they were together before they knew they was the new Avengers. And these kind of tactics and ploys, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of what's the name of those people? Of DC, the Snyderverse. When they announced all of those movies without first coming out and establishing if people even were going to like Man of Steel. And I don't care what Snyder fans tell you. Yes, some of those movies were profitable, but the mess that they made along the way, it wasn't worth revisiting. Let the Snyderverse go. There were some parts that were enjoyable. I honestly say Man of Steel is the greatest Superman movie ever made. Me personally, it's the greatest Superman movie ever made. And Ben Affleck is one of my favorite Batman actors. So I get that too. Would have loved to see that film, but it's just time to let it go. The way Marvel is operating is similar to how they were. It just got too big too fast. You started announcing all this shit. Blade still hasn't gotten off the ground. Ironheart is coming out next month, and barely has any press or anything about it. Matter of fact, they just shit on black characters for the most part anyway. And then you have Falcon, who became Captain America, got his own movie, and honestly, he was the least interesting part about it for the most part. Marvel does not have it anymore. I honestly am not sure they even know what they're doing. They're just trying to get to the finish line. They're trying to get to Doomsday, to Robert Downey Jr., making them another $1 billion twice. And maybe they'll blow the universe up at the end, or maybe they'll follow the 2010 Secret Wars. I think it was 2010. Was it 2010? I believe so. Secret Wars, where that feels so long ago. Maybe it was though, but Secret Wars that ends with a bunch of new universes and shit like that. Who knows? But I don't have the excitement for it anymore. Like, this is a whole Avengers movie. Technically, the new Avengers is Avengers 5 now, and it really doesn't seem to, it doesn't feel that monumental. But I'm just not sure how to feel about Doomsday and Secret Wars at this point. I'm just watching. It's kind of like True Blood. I finished True Blood simply because I had watched all the other shit leading up to when it got bad, and I just didn't stop. And I should have stopped at season 3, but I kept on going, and I found myself there until season 7, I think, is when it ended. So that's where I am with Marvel. And I guess this was less of a spoiler review and more of a spoiler-filled rant. And that's okay. I had to get this shit off of my mind and out of my heart so I can just be okay. Now, with that being said, what did you think of Thunderbolts, aka the new Avengers? Let me know in the comments. Continue to like, continue to share, continue to subscribe. I appreciate you. And until next time, I'm Jarius, Unapologetic Geek, and I am out.